Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Endpoints, a Game of Champions 2. We are going to be going into another sort of podcast. My name is Zoot. I do some Quake stuff, but there's two people who do more Quake stuff. It's k1llsen and k1llsen. Welcome to the show, everybody. k1llsen, welcome. How's it going?
Hey, I'm doing great. Got a little warm last week, but now it's a little better. And yeah, preparing for the next heat wave. I have to deal with then here in my apartment since we have an apartment at the roof, and yeah, it
Oh my
gets
God.
quite hot in here.
No, I bet. I can barely imagine. k1llsen, how's it going on your side?
Hey, it's good. Same as k1llsen. It's pretty hot. It's like 30 degrees. I already feel sorry for him because I remember when we played 2v2, he was sweating like in hot pants, and it was like summer was raining from above. So it's coming again.
Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. I'm gonna jump right into some Quake questions. I think that's where we're gonna start. We'll probably finish on it as well, but we're definitely gonna start there. k1llsen, you've had quite a. I've actually got quite a lot of questions about this, and the more are growing by the second. But k1llsen, you've had a year with Quake, QuakeCon champion, stage 3 champion. Um, where does this all come from? Actually, do you have an edge? What's going on in your mind to be getting all of this success?
I think if I'm really at my top level, which I've been at QuakeCon, then I do think I have an edge in comparison to other players. But it takes a lot of discipline and practice to get there. And sometimes it doesn't even work the way I want to. Like we've seen in Katowice, for example, where I failed. I felt like I didn't do bad for how I felt like, but I couldn't do any better for whatever reason. And I gotta deny those situations, and then I should be able to keep that kind of level. I'm capable of.
Yeah, because I want to approach. I don't know if it's a sensitive topic at all, but it's definitely something when you look through the sort of track record of k1llsen across Quake history. There might even be people who are going to watch this podcast and be like, "Oh, I didn't know that k1llsen's been around for well over a decade," because they might be new to Quake and they might have only watched some stuff in Quake Champions and seen how dominant you are at the moment. But you first won a big international event 2010. Is that the one I got right?
Yeah.
You won Adroits 2012, a little bit sort of
I placed second
drama.
actually. I lost
I
to
was a
cYpheR.
second, shit.
Yeah.
Okay, but that event was very yeah. I think everyone wanted to forget it after a while. But what my question goes into is that there's been a huge gap between then and your success in Quake Champions, and I'd say it's even more competitive now in Quake Champions with the amount of players that have returned, the amount of money that's been on the line. What has changed, and what's allowed you to sort of turbocharge into this form?
I think there has been some experience needed to really make it to the top 5 every single tournament, which I earned with Quake Champions. By grinding into the game, I learned some stuff I just didn't had in my repertoire before, and yeah, that kind of make me being a very dangerous contender every single time. And yeah, it's been paying off. Like before I went to QuakeCon, for example, I was talking to myself, listen to myself, and reflecting the tournaments before, and I didn't do bad at all in the tournaments before, and so I could go quite confident overall into the upcoming tournaments. But still, there was this tiny edge missing, yeah, which somehow I got into, and then been paying off from that
Yeah.
moment.
Because it's crazy, because a lot of there used to be this old esports mantra, which is, oh, if you're over 20, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, then you're done. It's GG. You can't play anymore. But you've been getting better and better and better, and you're one of the more senior players in the scene, and it's impressive. It's super impressive to see. k1llsen, because you've played against k1llsen forever now, and I was reading the stats before. Apparently, you've got 7 victories versus k1llsen in Quake Live, and he's got 2 to you. But I'd say the tables are sort of starting to turn, of course. What's changed have you seen change in k1llsen as the years have gone by, and how has he changed
You
for you as
know,
an opponent?
lately I've been thinking about it, and it's same like in real sports. For example, we cannot compare Quake to football, obviously, because it's like team game. But let's compare like football to boxing. And if you look at the history of boxing, you have very successful boxers who were like coming up as stars really, really, really fast. For example, you had Mike Tyson, who was like world champ at 20 years old. It's like incredible in heavyweight, right? Imagine a guy 20 years old, he's still a kid, and he became world champion, right? And then you got Holyfield or like Lennox Lewis, who were like climbing. They weren't as good in the beginning, but they overcome him with time, and they became like big stars. I think it's same like in every sport. Like sometimes you got guys who are becoming really, really good, really fast, and becoming champions, and then maybe they dropping down with the level because maybe they got too much in the young age and stuff like this. Then they get into the harder time in the life, and then you got guys who are constantly hungry for the win. Because as soon as you don't win anything, you are still hungry. k1llsen was climbing. He won first event in 2010, as you said. So back then I was already 20. He was like 23 or something, right? So he got his results in like an older age, and I think it kept him alive with his hunger for winning. And of course, he was working on himself. He was working hard, and I really liked to see his improvement in Quake Champions. I think. And as k1llsen said, it wasn't like he was like outside of the top players like in 2018,
Mm,
because I remember when we played 2v2, it was like great experience, because even though we never played 2v2 ever before, k1llsen never even like focused on team modes
mm.
or like 2v2. You remember sacrifice in the beginning, right? k1llsen didn't pay too much attention to sacrifice, right? Like
Yeah.
team modes in general. He wanted to be the best in 1v1. So I thought that there will be a lot of problems in the beginning, but we managed to fix our problems in a week or two, basically. So he's adapting really fast. So as soon as he puts like a lot of time, I think he will understand the game, because he's the smart guy, and he will get out the best out of it, out of
Mm.
practice. So it was really enjoyable to watch his process of grinding and becoming the best.
I've got like multiple things to ask from here, but if you were to point it out in the server, like because he was known as being rilsen, I mean
Hmm.
he's still known as being rilsen, right? This guy
Hmm.
just hits rails for days. But back in Quake Live, it was like a meme, right? The amount of
Hmm.
rails that he would hit and how focused he was. I remember watching the game between k1llsen and cYpheR on Blood Run. I think it was commentated by ZSX and Strengths, and it was the famous Zadrock game. And it was just a meme because you would just spawn at the rail and immediately you would hit three in a row. Like if you ever die, it was just hilarious how many rails you would hit. And cYpheR was obviously super tilted by this.
Well,
Have it,
if you want some insight, ask me insight what has changed in k1llsen,
yeah.
specifically why he became the best
O-
in the game.
on the
Yeah,
server as well,
yeah.
like how it feels to
Yeah,
play
yeah.
him.
So from this point of view, in my opinion, like as you said, he was very rail heavy player and stuff like this. In my opinion, Quake is like the game of perfections. You need to be perfect in every single matter. It's the game where you can't make big mistakes, because one mistake can lose you the game, right?
Mm,
So you need to be constantly on top. Not even one match in tournament. You need to be like on top of your shape, match by match by match by match, right? Every single match you need to be on top, right? So I think this is what he improved. So he's like really good in every single aspect, in aim, in like timing. He's like very patient. He doesn't like, which is important. He doesn't tilt, and he doesn't give away frags, which is very important in this game, especially in Quake Champions, because it can get so snowbally and it's really
mm,
really hard to do anything. So it's like game of perfections, and he became like perfect in every single little aspect.
mhm,
Even your movement has to be perfect. For example, if you have really good aim and you know what's going on, you know what is your opponent doing, you got timings, you got control. Let's say your movement is not really great, right? Especially that
mm,
you have a different like physics in Quake Champions. You can play one time anarchy, then slash, and then you bumping on your road. You can't slide or something like this. This is like big issue, and this can cost you the game. So even movement, aim, like little things like really matter in Quake. It's really like beautiful game in this case, because every single moment needs to
yeah.
be perfect. Look how Rapha won Katowice. He was perfect in every single moment. Same for
Mhm,
k1llsen winning Quake and this stage. He was perfect in every single moment. As soon as you are not perfect, you can't do it. That's why
mm,
many people are like surprised that one big player deliver one tournament, and then next tournament he didn't deliver. For example, Cooler won like one stage, and then he get out of the another stage after 2 matches.
Yeah,
But it's normal because it's the game for like it also shows how big level is. You're doing little mistakes, you're a bit off this day, and it's done for you.
yeah. No, that's totally
So he
true.
is the master of like little things, mastering it to the perfection. This is how I see this game for like top
No,
players and guys winning.
that's totally fair enough. Kilson, I'm going to ask maybe a more sensitive question now, but I'll try and phrase it so I don't come off like an asshole.
Okay.
Um,
Whoa.
so you you won Quake. You won a number of things in Quake Champions, but what I think an elephant in the room is that when you won stage three, it was online. You're obviously elated, and you had an amazing tournament. And I watched the event myself, and you put on some fantastic games. Does this make you hungrier to do it again, but on LAN in say the end of stage four? Like, how does that feeling change? Like for winning stage three when it was such a different environment from when your successes say at QuakeCon, which is probably the hardest tournament, one of the hardest tournaments we've ever had in Quake Champions or Quake at all.
I mean, because it was online, I actually made a mistake against rapha, picking champions and maps by ping situation. Because, of course, we knew before which map is going to be played on which server. So I made all my decisions just bound to that in the first matchup against rapha. And it cost me the game. So I dropped down to the loser bracket. That wouldn't have happened on a LAN environment, for example. I would
Yeah.
have totally trusted my abilities on just do like I normally do, and it worked afterwards in the loser bracket match against Rafa. And yeah, that's something I would have been ready for LAN environment, absolutely.
Yeah.
Even though I started a little late, actually, with preparations, but preparation been going really, really well. And each game, I got a little bit better, and that's exactly the feeling you want to have when getting into an event. If it's online or offline, doesn't matter. You want to get or be able to get the best out of you, and if you still make steps each game, that's like a real important part, because other players also have it more difficult to adjust to your game, because they don't know what is going to happen next, what's the next level at. So yeah.
But so does the victory taste as sweet though with a stage three, or are you like, give me stage four, give me LAN? If COVID permits, all this, we're in a pretty crazy time at the moment. Are you just like, bring it on stage four? Let's get even, and let's get my name third time on the belt.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Next event pretty much is about taking home the belt, right? And I want to have it, here on in my back. And yeah, for sure, totally makes me hungry, just because it's about the belt. And yeah, I mean, it was different for sure. Winning the stage three finals online, I do like the pressure of being on a stage. Having people in front of you. It gives a specific atmosphere, but I do really enjoy these moments, and don't feel overpressured or anything.
Yeah, and they're honestly some of the best games that we've seen in Quake Champions for sure. Like the tournament that we just had was really spectacular. I want to, Avik, I want to speak to you a bit
Oh,
about how
what I
things.
wanted to also add is like I'm gonna take your job, Zoot. I know you are the best,
Oh,
and you
for
have
God's
like
sake!
you are fashionable. You have fancy like Hugo Boss hat. I think people will dig it, same as me. But what I want to say, I know you guys hoping for a LAN next stage, but honestly, I also hope for it. Honestly, I thought that maybe Bethesda was up and optimistically thinking that they can like rent a studio even last minute, because obviously they have like a cooperation with ESL, so it wouldn't be a problem to rent a studio in Katowice in Poland again. But from what I see, as soon as the quarantine went over in Poland, the situation getting still again a little bit worse. So I really doubt we can do it, and it's still like we only have 1.5 month left. So I think that the last stage will again be online, and k1llsen has to do it again online, unfortunately. But well, I hope for another season, another year of Quake, which we can talk about it later maybe in the podcast, and then maybe we can go back to Lance and how it was in the past.
Yeah, no, for sure. We'll get onto those topics, but that's some interesting insights. And if it does end up being online, then we're going to roll off the punches, and it's still going to
Yeah.
make a great event of it. But Avec, yeah, I'm looking now at your stage 4. You've been winning the last couple of games, Sparty, CNZ. You had a tough game against cYpheR at the beginning. cYpheR's been in pretty immense shape recently. Like, what's your road to success looking like? How you're seeing your path to stage 4
Well,
finals?
my another match is also gonna be hard. Base is specific kind of player, and he also somehow beat cYpheR 3-0 like 2 weeks ago. I don't really know how he did it. I didn't exactly watch the match, but he 3-0'd him, so it says something, especially that cYpheR was playing like perfectly lately. So I'm gonna take it step by step. I got only hard opponents now till the end. I need to stay above. Definitely, I need to stay above Sparty and CNZ to be safe again, and then focus on final stages. And I really want to prepare for final stages, not only from the practice point of view, but also I want to upgrade my gear and things like this, because Quake requires really strong PCs and things like this. And whenever we play on LAN, it never matters because everyone is in the same conditions. So I even enjoyed playing on my 140 monitor at home, because when I went to LAN and I switched to 240, my aim was improving, my mechanics was improving, so I felt much better on LAN. But nowadays, when I realized that fourth stage will be online for sure, because I'm watching statistics of COVID, I need to be on top with everything.
Mm. No, that's totally fair. Where was I going to go next? Yeah,
Well, if I can also say something, Mr.
please.
Zoot, can I add something else? Because you asked me like
Permission granted.
yep. What I think k1llsen changed in server, right? What he improved in the game, and I said about being perfect in every single aspect. But I would like to ask actually k1llsen what he thinks like is the one really important thing to do in Quake. Because for example, like I know that Rapha thinks that the one of the most important things is no matter the situation, you always need to put up the damage. You can't die for free for zero. It sounds like pretty easy to do because you're always doing damage, right? But sometimes the situation can get tricky. For example, you're taking big item like heavy after having a fight with the guy, right? And for example, you're running for mega health, hoping that you're gonna pick up health bubbles on your way. But the guy is catching you when you are 20 HP to 100, right? Obviously, in a split second, he's gonna kill you and you're not gonna deal damage at all. You can leave the mega health and take health, take rocket launcher and deal, for example, 200 damage, right? So it's in every aspect, whether you are control or out of control. For example, for cYpheR, the most important thing, as far as I know, is like timing items to the second. It gives him this like mental boost that he knows what's going on the server, what his opponent doing, and he also feels that he's doing right thing. So he's like his positive energy is bringing out only timing of items like to the second. He believes it's the key to win. Cooler, for example, from what I know in Quake Life, he always believed that as soon as he gonna hit railguns, he gonna win the tournament. That was his that was his goal in 2005 till 10. He believed inside himself that if I'm gonna hit railgun, I'm gonna win the tournament. It's easy as that, right? So for everyone, it's something different. What was like the main thing for you, which you think you improved, and what is most important for you? One thing.
I mean, first of all, before we get to that point, for me actually, back then in the earlier years of k1llsen, it's also been very important to hit my shots. So it made me
Rails.
feel like right, exactly. So it made me feel like super comfortable and being able to get into situations I wouldn't be able to if not hitting. With Quake Champions, actually, I changed my mind a little bit. Even if I miss the shots, I'm not going down or feel overpressured or anything. I just want to make sure to maybe be able to deal some damage, and then well, whatever happens next item is I can set up to, and there we go to that point. Take the right position in that specific moment to maybe deal damage. If you're not hitting, you still have an escape, and then you just keep on going, try again.
Okay.
Does that item rotation make it a bit easier to plan how to do that because it's different to Quake Live, which was 25-35? Does that As I noticed that a lot of the game is actually played away from items as well now. It used to be that the timings, it would always conflict in Quake Live, and eventually someone would get the Mega and the Red to spawn at the same time, and there'd be a split in the control. It's a very kind of like simplified way of explaining it. But in Quake
Um,
Champions, because everyone can time so well, and everyone knows when the items are up, like, it's how do you break that stalemate?
I would say it, yes, but no to that question because
Okay.
there are like so many items up on the maps. So
Mm.
even out of control, the latest on the second rotation, you are able to stack up again on your full natural stack at least. Not fighting for a big item at that point, but if you are able to manage to keep alive for two rotations, then you able to restack again because your opponent isn't able to pick up all the items again because he needs to do plenty of self damage, and that
Yeah.
just denies his advantage that moment he fight for. And yeah, so that's pretty much what I think. Like, it's not really easier, but it is, but you
Yeah, I
just
see what
gotta
you mean.
gotta gotta need to think about it, how it really which way it works.
But you see, this is the point about the beauty of Quake, because people, newcomers, that's why I think Quake is niche game, because like people who are newcomers, they don't see these little things. They see two guys, like they understand that there's timing, there's rotations, because casters are explaining this. But look how many little things are like people are thinking. cYpheR is thinking about milliseconds, as I said. Like we spoke with Rapha, for example, like even 10 years ago, and we asked him with cYpheR, like, why you are so successful now, like what you think is the most important thing you are doing right now. So now he said that the best thing is like for example, to always deal damage and never never be fragged for free, right? It's nobody gonna think about it from newcomers, right? But back then he said that it's simple, I'm not playing to win, I'm playing not to lose. And it's clearly changing your mind, because you see people playing to win, they try to take control and kill the guy, right? And Rafa is playing not to lose, so he gonna take control and try to kill the guy, but he won't go overboard because he will be scared to get fragged with control and lose the game, right? This is that
Mm,
this one sentence is like changing your like understanding of the game. He's not playing to win, but he's playing not to lose, so he's always taking the
interesting.
the, the most safe options, but he's also pushing when needed, because he knows if he's not gonna push when control, he also can lose, right? So it's like
Mm.
this balance thing.
So
This
I
is the beauty of
actually,
Quake, in my opinion, and people need to hear it because people don't think about these little details.
but on this note, because I've been thinking about it because there's been a lot of tier two, tier three players who've been around for many, many years and they've never really broken out into the top of the scene. And I'd say a lot of those players are in America, and there's definitely a whole bunch of them in Europe, but it's noticeable in America because they're always at the Quake cons and things like that, so you get to see them play. I feel like I'm seeing similar errors being made over and over again. There's a sort of feels like an overcommitment to an opportunity. They hit that rail or they do that initial damage. They try and chase up. This is my chance to get the frag, but then there's items that are about to come up. That defensive damage comes out. They're then low. They then can't challenge for the items, and I feel like all of a sudden every opportunity they've built for themselves is destroyed. And I see players countless times doing this. They do it in the community tournaments in Europe. I see it in the Quake Pro League. And it feels like very few players are managing to bridge the gap to say, okay, well, what am I trying to do the next 5 seconds? What's going to happen in the next 30 to 60 seconds? And how do I
But
need to change the
but
play
it's
from
very
that?
easy to explain, because even like if you compare it to poker for now, right? We already had comparison with boxing and stuff like this, but we can compare things, right? So let's
Sure.
compare it to poker. Sometimes you're losing because you're getting greedy, right? Pete can like agree
Yeah.
because he's like playing poker. So sometimes you're getting greedy and you really have this like inside of your will to actually get the stack and win this one fight and have over it. So we're playing a tournament, and you understand if you're gonna make this frag, it's gonna be everything simple for next minutes, and you understand it's very important to get it. And people getting greedy and they hope that they're gonna get it, but
Mm,
Quake is unpredictable. Sometimes the guy can like hit like few things out of the blue, and you're
yeah.
losing control. So people just getting greedy. You're getting greedy in these situations.
And
So you need
and
to compose yourself.
Totally. And, I think something that used to get said a lot in Quake Live commentary and not so much now, since the whole of Quake Champions really, is that actually how bad is it to get a kill and lose full control? You get a kill, but oh, you've got 5 HP, 10 HP left. You know, I find that's almost like a mortal error that you should avoid at all costs. But you finally got that frag you because you wanted it and you knew that this would make a
Yeah.
difference for you, but it actually makes a negative difference. I wonder. I guess I would like Kelson. I'll start with you on it. Like, what does it take to train that discipline? How do you? I think that Dramus is a great example. He's a player who actually really started to develop super strong and was starting to have this amazing foresight, and I wonder, like, what is there like something that needs to click, or do you need to do a certain level of reflection? What does it take?
Certain level of reflection for sure. Yeah, but also the right way of understanding the situations. So why my opponent, for example, chose that way, but in the end he overcame me with that. But what is the reason he chose that way?
Hmm.
These kind of little things, like Avik said, you know, it's really difficult to see just by when someone is getting fragged, how much work has been done before this happened,
Yeah.
and you need to understand that. I think that's like pretty important, and yeah, we will see how many players are capable of getting to this edge and then even overcome this edge.
Mm. Yeah. Any other thoughts on it, Avak?
Like you mean when getting fracked when in control, right? That what Kilson said,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you need to observe the point of view of the guy who's playing defensive. Actually, you always have POV of the guy who's running for the frag. That's why you don't see what is happening behind the stage, right? Because the guy who's playing defensive at that moment, he can't just YOLO around like jumping and hoping that the control will come to him without any work. He needs to understand that now is his time to work. He needs to slow down. He needs to listen. He needs to find the timings. And this is the point, right? You play in ZTN without the control. You need timings. You for sure need the timing, because based on that you can catch the opponent mistake. It's one of your like ways to break through. You need opponent's mistake. Maybe he gonna try to chase you instead going for like for a mega, which happens very often on ZTN, and then you're stealing the mega, and then you're giving the fight like 50-50 and maybe making a frag, right? So it takes like few rotations, because you cannot do it with first or second rotation, because the guy in control first few rotations he will be so focused on getting those items that there is no way it's gonna be delayed or anything like this. He will always get it. But after a few rotations, some people getting or greedy, or they are like getting impatient, so they trying to catch someone or make a trap or things like this, and they leaving things. Then the rotation is like finally break, because greens are like showing up like on different times for the guy without control. So his whole like control part is falling. It's like falling apart, right? And as soon as he controls everything, you also understand his routes, right? Because he needs to be fast, and then you can try to cut him off, or you can try to hit something. So this is the time where the guy from defense, he needs to like shine, and he needs to do the work.
Mm. Mm. No, fair. No, some really fun theory here, guys. I'm gonna move us just to a quick Quake Pro League question again. Just I got a couple more notes on that I want to touch on. Goals for the rest of the season or stage. Avec, where do you want to be at the end of the stage? Ignoring the finals itself, but just before we get to the finals.
Mhm. Well, I think it's really hard to catch up with points, especially with Americans, with middle Americans for now. So basically, I will try to get as many points as many maps as I can to get the best seeding for the final stage. If we're not talking about the final stage, this is my goal.
Okay. Okay, fair
Because
play.
the points are like your seeding is based on points basically. So you need
Yeah.
to climb as high as you can.
And I would assume your goal for the finals is to win. So I just
Well,
feel like it's a non-question. We want
I
to
think
win.
I think it should be for every player, right? Because
Yeah.
if you don't, well, let's be honest. If you don't aim at winning, then you can't do anything. It should be for every rising player. Even if you have doubts in yourself, you deep in yourself, you need to like convince yourself that you are capable of doing it. So if
Mm.
if you're gonna aim to the moon, you're always gonna land at least next to the stars, even if you don't reach it, right?
That's beautiful, beautiful sentence. I like
Yep.
it.
I was
Uh,
preparing. I was preparing this sentence all night yesterday. I was googling for like sentences, like motivational sentences, like motivational
it's-
speeches,
I
and
can
I
see
found this
like
one. So I thought it's great.
I can see it on Instagram right now.
Yep.
k1llsen, I want to ask you like your goals, but you're top of Europe at the moment. It's difficult, I think, to keep up with Americans in terms of how their points work in parallel with Europe. But any goals specifically, or is it just keep doing well? I know you had a hard game versus Wenger, but
It wasn't really a hard game. I just, couldn't get into my serious mind. To be fair, like
okay.
I took the game overall too lightly, because yeah, it felt very different. Being just on a broadcast made me feel very uncomfortable, or not really uncomfortable, but you know less serious business. Just that's how it felt like for me. And yeah, comes down to the scores. I jumped 3 times off the map.
I didn't even
Well,
see the game, so yeah, that sounds
yeah,
hilarious.
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't even see it.
Just because my mood was like that,
Okay,
so
okay.
yeah. um but yeah, I mean, my goal absolutely is to keep the one for EU leaderboards,
Mhm.
and keep second in world rankings. I could, can't be any other goal from my POV, I guess.
Yeah, fair play, fair play. And I guess Avec, you touched on it a little lightly earlier. The end of this year that was announced of Quake Pro League is soon coming to an end. Hypothetically, if we've got a second year of content, and who knows, what shape, like what do you want to see? What changes from year one to the year two would you like to see? Avec, why don't you start us off?
Well, can we start off with k1llsen maybe?
Okay,
I need to
okay. If
just
you want.
find my thoughts
k1llsen,
for
do
now.
do you want to think, or do you want me to talk about it so you can both have a
Well,
think?
you can start and then we can like agree
Okay,
or don't
so
agree.
I really, really, really want to see some format changes. And I almost think that maybe a slight break, like bring it down into 3 stages rather than 4, but fleshing out each of those stages just like by a week or two longer. I think that could be strong, but I'd really like to see mirror matchups allowed. I would like to see point resets every stage. And I would like to see that, you know, 2-1 is, or 2-0, that's a win. 3-0, to me, it's just extra work for the casters and not much extra sustenance for the viewers.
I think 3 zeros are alright to have implemented, but I think the double points is just a little too much, because you can just have a little easier matches because of style clutch, whatever. And it would be unfair in comparison to other players who also put the same amount of work into their matchups, but only winning 2-1 because the style just doesn't suit him that well.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think, format change, I think that's included somehow into that. So I'm totally with you there.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, maybe another map. We have another map being tested right now at the moment on PTS. So yeah, I hope it's not gonna remove the wrong map. maybe have it just as an addition.
It's a good question after. Yeah, I'll touch on that in a moment, actually. I'm going
Okay,
to write
okay.
it down. Yeah. Carry on,
Yeah,
though. Carry on.
yeah. That's all I got.
Okay. Avec?
Well, and looking a year ago, they started with QuakeCon, which was in August, from what I remember, and then next month there was 1 month break, and then we started the whole league thing,
Mhm.
right? So what I hope they're gonna do, like if we still like fighting with the COVID infection, I think virus, they should like after this stage, if they want to take month break, they should do everything online in the beginning, and then they should try to move first stage of like finals as far in the time as they can, as soon as they can do it like online. That will be great, right? What I also thought, like league system is cool, but um, I think what will be great, like maybe we can change it to like little tournaments, right? So instead of having matches like every like weekend, we can have like little tournament every 1 month, right? Or something like this.
Mm.
Maybe it's like bad
Yeah.
because like people get used to like Sundays and watching Quake, and it's like more frequent, more often. But then you could split the prize money to lower pools and then do like like normal proper tournament every 3 or 4 weeks, for example. And then we also gonna see like players on the grind all the time, because everybody gonna care really much about this tournament. So 3 weeks is not the time when you can lose yourself, because like 3 months is like some people like practice less, stream less, or something like this, and they're getting more loose. But every 3 weeks you can't really like take even like 5 days off.
Yeah.
You still need to keep grinding and things like this. So it might be interesting, and some viewers are really hyped for tournaments, actually, because it's a proper bracket,
Yeah.
and you have many different opportunities, and matches like every Sunday. People already know upfront what kind of matches there are, and they are just like not interested as much in some matches as others. It's like normal, right? People want to watch only like matches which are interesting for them. And in tournament, you never know what's gonna happen. You need to show up and watch this tournament, because maybe k1llsen gonna lose, or maybe you got semis like cYpheR, or any other crazy thing, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. I really hope for another year of Quake, because people were doubting the game, and if they're gonna pull off another year, I think people will be happy, and they will understand that it's a serious deal,
Yeah.
and it's all good. And if the budget is same as this year, then it's also perfect for players, so we can keep playing and make our living on it, and everyone is happy, right?
Yeah, totally. No, I think there's a tremendous amount that has surely been learnt from this year. My personal regret is that some changes haven't been made sooner. But if it's an opportunity to make some big changes, then fingers crossed, everything falls into line for us, and we'll hear some news at some point soon. I want to touch on that question you talked about. New map, k1llsen. If it doesn't matter what the map is coming into the pool, if a map has to leave the pool, what map do you
Veil.
guys get rid of? Veil. Avec, what do you think?
Well, I would also say Veil, like
Really?
for like 2 years already, I would say Veil. Right now, I really like Veil, and I think it's cool map. But from other point of view, if I need to like remove one map, there is no other map I can remove, because
Blood
other
Run.
maps
Get
are
rid
really.
of Blood Run. Blood Run is absolute garbage. Get rid of it.
I
Get
don't
rid
really
of
think
it.
so. I don't think it's like
No.
garbage map. It's interesting map. It's definitely
Garbage.
interesting for like for low tier players or medium tier players who are watching Quake Pro League, and they want to play same maps as pros. They want to do same things as pros. Of course, you're gonna get matchup
Mm.
where you're gonna get wrecked, basically, because you're gonna get clutch or like scale. You're gonna get fragged, 2 frags down, and you can't catch this guy. Shout
Yeah,
outs
I'm
to k1llsen against cYpheR on ZT. Right? 2 frags and see you later, amigo. Never gonna see me again. But but this is the way it is. Players understood it already, and they understand that,
but that's what I
this
don't
is what's
like.
gonna happen.
Okay. I'm super biased though,
If
because I've
anyone,
I've
if
not liked
anyone
it for
wanna watch
years.
something funny, they should also watch like nosfa playing ZTN on Quake against Wenger, and he was leading 1-0, and he kept this lead. And you know what is the funny thing? I spoke with nosfa before the match, and I asked how he feels, and he said, "Yeah, well, it will be good, because it's like a main stage. I would really like to like win Wenger, because he's like bigger player. I'm newcomer, and things like this. But I don't care, man. If I'm gonna lose, I'm lose." And he said, "I YOLO pick. It's just YOLO, man. I just pick scale bearer. I'm gonna frag him once, and I GTFO from him for 10 minutes. I'm like, man, you are crazy. It's impossible. He gonna catch you. No, I'm gonna make one frag, and I'm gonna run 10 minutes. I don't care, man." So that was pretty funny, because this is exactly what happened later, and we were like, "Oh my god, this guy is crazy." And nosfa is, in general, shout outs to him. He's crazy guy. He also he's doing crazy things. We were practicing with him before QuakeCon, and he could, on Awoken, he was chasing you, and he was like on Doom, he was like using his ultimate, because he only wanted to frag you. He knew that he gonna jump over the outside of the map to catch you on the window, and only to do that, he was ready to sacrifice himself to kill you and then jump out of the map. So it's like he's a Brazilian prime. He wants to kill you no matter what, and he wants to do crazy things. He was jumping out of the maps many times. So if you're gonna watch clips from Quake on 2019, you definitely need to check out nosfa, because he was doing crazy
Fair
shit.
enough. Fair enough.
Yeah,
I
but to be fair, I need to add that there, like Blood Run, it's a map which takes a lot of brain cells when you down 1 frag, 2 frags, 3 frags. It's like a lot of work and sometimes really frustrating, depending on the matchup also, which can be 2 times frustrating. When your opponent, for example, has a more dynamic champion like Doom having his double jump, slash Scalebearer, being quicker when they want to. But there are so many options you have. So really, you really got to take that into already the map and champion veto.
Yes.
Like have the right idea which champion is capable of what, and then kind of prepare yourself. If you still find yourself down by 2 frags, you gotta put a lot of work and be super strong. Try not to rage at all. Really stay calm and try to create the right idea to catch your opponent. And that's what we have the abilities for. And I think Blood Run combines the full strong mental game of Quake champions with the abilities, with the different movement system and the different stacks.
That's totally fair enough, but I'm
Yeah.
still going to disagree with you because
But
I'm
look,
biased.
so if you arguing that the main reason you want to blood run off from the map pool is that when you make a frag, you can't catch up on your opponent, right?
That's not my argument,
But
though.
let's be honest. Pro players know this, but you can do exactly the same thing on Molten. If you got faster champion,
Yeah.
if you're not gonna really fuck up things, you're gonna be able to run away from your opponent because you have few spots where you can basically hear your opponent all the time. You can sit on the mega health green and you can know where your opponent go, what time he took heavy, if he went jump pad, if he went another jump pad to LG, if he went to rail, and things like this. You're gonna hear him coming to LG. It's like you can do exactly the same thing. It's a little bit harder than ZTN because it's a bit bigger map, but still
Yeah.
it's like it's same way of playing. You can do exactly the same thing.
So for me, part of it is also get rid of Blood Run and then get rid of
Molten because
Blood
it's same.
Covenant. No,
It's
I
because
just want to get
what?
get
You
rid
want
of
to get
the
rid of TM6? It's no
I want
way.
to get rid I want to get rid of like the older maps as well because
Oh yeah, crazy.
Blood Covenant doesn't upset me as much as Blood Run, but Blood Run I just find I have this toxic hatred that's been born out of me since about 2012 for this map, for these bloody ZTN no-lifers who just play this map and are only good at it and will grind against you. And every time they see it, they're going to vote it, and it makes me hate everybody and myself.
You mean
But,
CIS community, right?
It's not just the CIS community; it's so many people. And yeah, sorry, that's my. You know what? I'm going to move things on because we're about to be
I
talking so long
wanted
about
to
this
hear
stuff.
something controversial from you, at least.
I've got
We're
nothing
gonna pass
controversial to
CIS
say.
community or something. Okay.
I thought
Good,
that
smart
saying
guy.
I hate Blood Run was a normal thing to say, but apparently you guys are weird. So, anyway,
Well,
I'm gonna.
well, to be honest, we had a voting like in QPL, like meetings, because
Mhm.
we have meetings with managers and with people who run the QPL. They always asking our thoughts about what should be changed. So we also we are the part of the team who is changing something in the game, right? We had a voting for that, and as you can see in the very beginning, I think Americans suggested to remove the map from the map pool, but
Blood Run.
Europeans, yeah, but Europeans didn't agree for that. So
Wow.
that's why we are still playing ZTN.
I
And then
suddenly like North Americans so much more.
and then right after that meeting when we didn't agree to remove them up, I played base. He played clutch on ZTN, and I played BDJ, and I couldn't catch him. But I sacrificed for the good of the map of the old school map.
I hate you. I'm going to move things on, guys, because we're using so much time talking about this. I want to finish off a few Quake bits, and we're going to move. Eventually, we're going to get some questions as well from people in the chat. I want to quickly just touch on org representation within the Quake Pro League. I can obviously see because k1llsen is nicely dressed up that he's representing big here. I can't really tell from Avec, but because he's on here with Endpoint, I'm just assuming that Endpoint are his org. Sure.
Of course, but it's 32 degrees, man. I'm sitting here and I'm melting basically.
No,
Look,
I
this
totally,
window is open
appreciate
totally,
that.
but I'm still sweating and things like this.
I'll
And
get the ice
sports
bucket.
t-shirt, and sports t-shirt, they looking beautiful, but you can't really breathe. properly. So that's why I'm in this. I'm not showing off
I'm
my.
only
I'm not. I'm
teasing
not
you.
because people gonna assume that I'm showing off my muscle and things like this, right? I wasn't to the gym for last 3 or 4 months, so it's like
You're
it's
shy.
not. Yeah, I'm shy, and it's totally about the weather.
I'm
But
fully respect that.
what I really like about I really dig the hats from Endpoint. We got the merch with Game Over hats. You can see those photos on Instagram. And by the way, feel free guys
Visibility.
to follow us on Instagram, me and k1llsen. Maybe we can get somewhere the links to our Instagrams on our social media, because this is also like building like the community, building the Quake. And you can also see some like nice things from our private lives, especially on Instagram, right? And many Quake community fans don't know that we run in social media, for example. So we got great merch with game over hats, and I was even thinking about maybe doing some small giveaway with my and k1llsen t-shirts, because it will
Ooh.
be nice.
Okay.
I guess
Well,
people would like to
that
have our shirts.
I wholeheartedly agree, but I'm gonna hurry. I'm gonna hurry us up. I wanted to talk about, what's the difference maker with having an org representing you? Does it enhance your performance? What advantage do you think you have, if there is one, over some people in the Quake Pro League who maybe don't have an organization that they're representing? Avec hasn't shut up in ages, so I'm gonna ask k1llsen first.
I mean, it kind of strengthens your back. Let's say, like you have always, even if you fail. I mean, beside of the fans a player has, to to have backup from, and to ask questions. What do you think could have went wrong? Because you might have a little more, like a more intensive relationship to them than you have to guys from the outside. And yeah, just if necessary, you have someone to talk, for sure. And yeah, I mean, helping with some sponsored stuff also, you don't need to worry about or think about. Helping with whatever gear is missing, they add it, and you don't have to deal with that. So those are small things. Someone without a brand and org behind, um, needs always to keep in mind. If my keyboard gets broke now, then I have to order a new one. I need to pay it, and it needs to be here in time, and all
Mm,
these kind of things. And with an org, you most likely, most of the times, have something in the back. You just ask, and 2 days later, it's already arriving at home. And yeah, that's like a pretty solid way of having a base.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Avec, anything to add on that?
Yeah, what k1llsen said, I totally agree. From what I can also add is like uh, organization also gives you recognition. Like organization also making sure that you appear in the media. uh, you can see right now, the organizer of this podcast, which you can guys listen, is like my organization. And thanks to Pete and Team Endpoint, you can hear all this like little stories about Quake. So organization taking care of you as a player, how you show up in media. They also care that you grow as a player, you grow in social media. Let's be honest, it's like very important nowadays. You need to be people need to recognize you, people need to hear about you constantly. Plus you're getting financial help, plus you have people. It's if you have nice org, it's people will make sure that you feel comfortable. As k1llsen said, even if you're failing and you're losing, from good org, you're getting help, and you're getting understanding. And it's very important that they not letting you down, because let's be honest, perfect is not word is not perfect. There is many orgs out there, even like bigger orgs and things like this, where players are getting pressure because it's like business, because like orgs are chasing for results, and they chasing
Mm,
for numbers, for social media numbers. So many young players are getting like getting anxiety from it, and they need the breaks from
mm,
esports. So if you get a good org, and you got good management and people take care of you, then it's only rising you. If you're getting bad org, it's bring you down, and it's no point for you to stick with such people. And I was lucky enough in my life that mostly, not always, as I said, word is not perfect. Mostly I had like big support from my orgs, but not always. And well, right now I can say like thank you thank you to team endpoint for like organizing this and taking care of me in social media. I also want to take like I also want to thank like our media manager. The girl is doing like great job for us. We got like best memes, and she's like she's really into gaming. She does look she didn't know what's Quake before, right? And now she's like always making some fun, even if she catches that people like talking about my hair or how I looked this even or that. She all the time she's straight away making some memes. Like, if you've seen like last meme, there was like a Johnny Bravo with my face, on Twitter. That's great, or like her like getting bigger and bigger on pictures. She's doing great job. So thanks teammate point and for supporting me, and also especially that I had hard times with my results lately, and I never felt anything less than understanding, and I never felt pressured. I never felt like someone is like mad at me. So this is big shout outs. And I think new players, young players, not only in Quake but in Counter-Strike, in other divisions, as we said, they can only grow with such work.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
I know
Yeah,
Big is the same way because I know killsen and I know guys from Big, so they're also great guys for him. So shout outs to them too.
Yeah, I mean,
no,
I know just know some of the guys since 14, 15 years already,
Yes.
and met them and at so many events, and getting there together is it's just a really good climate in there. We always understand each other and always respected each other, and I think those are two big things that's necessary to have a good home, like respect each other. And yeah.
Yeah, of course. It's even if you go back to 2v2 times, like Big was the organization which sent me and killsen to QuakeCon, and they made sure that we had everything possible. We had like long boot camp in US, which is very expensive and things like this. And there was never like any misunderstanding. We got everything from them, big financial help. It wasn't like exclusive events, so there was like flights which were also expensive. Hilton Gaylord is like the most expensive hotel in the world, and things like this, one of the most expensive. So yeah, so I get a little bit experience, and shout outs to them.
yeah, totally. Guys, I'm going to move on now. I've got a few that I'd like to dive through fairly quickly, and it maybe we're starting to get to the point where people can start thinking about the questions they want to ask in chat. But do hold, don't say it now and don't say it again later, because we might miss it at the moment. But just start thinking away. You guys have played some 2v2 as well together. You got a bit of experience. You touched as well on that earlier, I believe. Um, what do you think about the 2v2 with each other? Your experiences together? Do you want to repeat it? I don't know. Whoever talks first.
I would repeat that absolutely. Like we've only been in the beginning of shaping up together, like growing together, and with a bit more time, 1 or 2 months, let's say, like other teams had in front of us, I think we could have pulled off some miracle for sure. Um, so I would repeat that any time again, and was hella fun. Also, just having Avik as my roommate was really fun. Back then, I was still like a guy always wearing jeans, and Avik, Avik,
Okay.
Avik teach me to wear sweatpants. So since then, on every event, I've been wearing sweatpants when I have to play. So yeah.
Especially in Dallas, it's hot weather. You are not boiling your balls in jeans. You got loose sweatpants. It's always comfortable. Well, killsen is also very fashionable guy. So it's not only one pair of jeans he had. He had like dozens of them, and he changed. And he asked my opinion. I said maybe today you need to go with the dark, and next day with the bright one. Because it matches your like black shirt. So it was fun. It was definitely fun. And this is the only guy who's like constantly joking. Like he's constantly joking, and you don't expect it in the beginning because he's like, I'm sleeping. He was waking up like at 6 a.m. or something. He's maybe getting old or something, I thought, and I was sleeping like till 10 or 11. I was like, man, I want to sleep. He went for a cigarette for like outside walk, and then he was going back, and I'm still sleeping watching TV, and he's like, Avik, come here. I'm like, what? Look in the mirror. I'm like, what? Do you see this handsome guy? I'm like, man, man, what the hell? I want to sleep. Please stop with your jokes. But it was fun, and his positive energy, I think, helped us a lot. And we basically made it almost to the finals. We were in semis against Toxin Claws. We lost by 1 frag or something like this on the 5th map. So the results were great, and I think we could improve even more.
Fair play. Fair play.
So if they bring back again to V2, it will be also like a cool thing, you know. And I think some viewers were enjoying to V2. It's also fun for
Yeah,
Quake,
there was a
because
spike.
4v4 sometimes can be too hectic in Quake and people might
Agreed.
have hard time understanding, but 2v2 is pretty easy to follow.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And you guys have been touching on it already. You guys have been going to events with each other now for, well, actually, when was the first event? It must be 12, 13, 14 years. Maybe it's more. I don't know. How long have you guys been? When was your first event that you met each other?
My first event was 2004. Avec wasn't existent at that point, but I think he was like 2005. I think has been the first event, maybe.
I started to play Quake 4 like competitively. I mean, I played Quake 3 and I won like many events in Quake 3 before, like LAN events, but small events in like our part of Europe in East. But then basically, as I said before, like you got players who rise fast and people who like grinding. I became really good really fast, and I basically started to play 2006 Quake 4. I won a couple of events with Forever, with other good guys, and then 2007 I already, no, even before that, I won WSVG against Ox in 2006 or something like this, or in
Yeah,
and we met first time, I
2006 or seven, something.
something like that. Yeah, it's hard to say.
ESWC.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm sure that I saw him one of the first times, not the first time, on ESWC Athens in 2008 or something like this, because I remember he was like hanging out with another Polish player. But before that, I think we've seen each other somewhere for sure on some events.
Mm. Um, I've had some hilarious moments with you guys, but it's not about me. What's I'm just thinking of the banana boat last year. There's a picture somewhere. Any memorable moments of you guys? You've already touched on one with the mirror at 6 in the morning. What
Well,
you
the
guys?
whole QuakeCon was great.
Yeah,
We spent there like 2 weeks or something like this, so it was good to go into the cafe. Like as soon as we arrived to Java, right, there was other players boot camping like Maestro with Sparty, and if you guys don't know, Sparty is this kind of player who is like, I don't know if there is some problem with his like listening or something like this, but he's always speaking so loud, like he doesn't hear himself. So they were playing on the first level like upstairs, and we are arriving. As soon as I open the door on the like bottom
Yeah.
floor, I already hear Sparty like mega 27, mega 28 or something like this. And another funny like little thing is we are sitting like and eating like every day we were eating burgers
Mm.
with k1llsen. Every day we were eating burger and one beer for better sleep, right? One time we were like eating with Sparty and someone else, and I asked Sparty, why are you talking so? We were talking about Sparty talking so loud, and I said to Sparty, because you are deaf. And Sparty is like, what? And everybody laughed because he like basically agreed that he is deaf. I was like, because Sparty, you are just deaf, and he's like, what?
yeah.
You really didn't hear me at that
That
time.
moment was like
Also,
perfect.
like after party, for example, after party, I came to USA. I'm always forgetting something when I'm going. I forget some cosmetics or something like this. So whole this trip, I was using something from k1llsen. Something to hair from k1llsen, on my underarm from k1llsen. Then I'm coming downstairs. I use like k1llsen Hugo Boss fragrances, and then I'm sitting next to him, and he's like, "What the fuck, man? You use my fragrances?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm sorry, man. I just need to refresh myself." So you see, you are wearing like Hugo Boss hat, and you're wearing like Hugo Boss fragrances.
Perfect. It's
Hugo Boss
beautiful.
is the best.
Anything that sticks out in your mind, k1llsen? Or I think there's so many silly things
No,
like
those
happen.
are already been pretty good actually. Like yeah, also like the winning moment. I'm not sure which team it was before we went into the semifinals.
It
Do you
was
remember?
Maestro, yeah, Silence Surprising. And they were big favorites before the tournament.
Yeah, and when we overcame them, that moment also was, it's quite a good memory.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, making this one step, beating one of the favorites,
Yeah.
kind of out of nowhere, where we started, and yeah, that was also very,
there
very
is even
sick.
photos flying around where we're hugging, and then there is big heart around us, and there's
Yeah.
also remakes of those photos. It's great. Yeah,
Amazing.
it's great.
Awesome. Guys, I'm going to ask one more question, chat, and then for your questions, I'm just going to talk quickly about Diabotical. That I think did they announce the prize money? I think there's a decent amount of prize money that
I've
they've got for NA
I've
and
seen some
EU.
stream from James, and I also saw him tweeting later on. Because first he announced like 100k for Diabotical to
That was like the
support some
community
communities,
stuff.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then he said that he get another 100k, and it's all gonna be for this year only. And since we are
Mm,
already in the middle or end of the year, 200k for like few months, it's or like 3-4 months, it's pretty big, I think, for a new game for
yeah.
esports.
So what are your thoughts on it? Well, it looks like they're going to go down a sort of 3v3 style of route, incorporating a couple of different game modes. k1llsen, start with you. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, yeah, I didn't like the duel of Diabotical, to be fair, but it only came down to the maps. Like the maps has been built a little too tight overall. I feel like giving you not enough options to make use of, and that's actually been my only issue. Like the game has been running well. I also love the wipeout mode, like how it's been built up. When you frag someone, he's like not totally out of the game. There's a respawn timer which increases
Hmm,
every single kill for the teams, and I really enjoyed that a lot. And yeah, I mean, I really excited what they have up their sleeves, pretty much.
uh-huh. Yeah. I know that you guys have got like commitments and stuff. I don't know the full details, but is competing in team modes in Diabotical something you'd consider, k1llsen?
Yeah, sure. Why not? If it gives me the platform I want to have, then
Hmm.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Avik, what are
Well,
your thoughts?
if 3v3 is a case, because in the beginning I heard James said that he wants to focus on team modes, so it's 3v3. I don't know if he changed his mind lately, if it's gonna be 1v1 as well. But if it's 3v3, it's also great. We can team up with k1llsen and cYpheR, but then we really need to have like big space in Diabotical for our organization name, because it's gonna be big endpoint Navi. If you if you want to mix like three guys, but yeah, 3v3 will be great, and I will definitely play that, and we are allowed to play it, and everything's cool.
Awesome. Right. Well, I'm gonna get on some questions. Someone wants you to play a tune on the guitar. You don't have to. Um,
No, I can't actually I can make tones. Yes, it has like 6 sides, but that's it.
fair
It's
enough.
fake guitar.
There's a question from Stelaggio about how has Rail changed in Quake over the years, and we know that like damage values and stuff have changed, but the importance of how you use it, is that some, what's your thoughts on that? Actually, it's a
Mm.
question for both of you, but because it said Rail, I was like, well, k1llsen, he's the best guy to answer this.
I mean, yeah, we went through quite a couple of changes with the ray gun, but while ray gun has been adjusted, also other weapons have been adjusted. So in the end, it made some sense to balance it all the way, because otherwise it would have been too strong, for example. And yeah, I think so far we've always been on the right track when it came down to yeah, rail adjustment in this question, but also with other weapon balance changes.
Mhm,
They over the history, Quake 3, Quake Live, it felt balanced, to be fair.
mhm. Fair play. Any other thoughts on rail, Avec, or well
Same.
covered?
It's really hard to make like rail unbalanced. It's like really easy to make shaft unbalanced because like you add like damage to the shaft and it's already overpowered a lot. Or if you make bigger hitboxes or things like this, with rail you really need to like do things wrong to make it unbalanced. Like it needs little tweaks to make it balanced. You obviously cannot hit one rail and kill the guy straight away, or you cannot keep hitting 8 rails and won't be able to kill the guy. So
Mm.
I think over the all years, like rail was like okay, it was always balanced. Nobody, I never seen anyone complaining about rail. That speaks for itself, right? Because many people whine about rockets or like the splash is too big or it bounces back too much. Shaft has too much damage or it pushes you away too hard. You know, it's harder to balance those weapons than rail because it's like you point and you click, and the only thing which matter is damage, how much you make.
And if you
Mm.
miss, you find yourself in big troubles.
Yeah, for sure. OPM has asked, who these guys think will win QPL this season and why? Well, I think they're going to go for themselves, right? But is there something you want to address with that?
I mean, like like we said, I think the first question, right, or second, third, like, what's the goal of now until before the stage finals, and I wanna keep the top of Europe. That's that's just my goal, and even if it comes down to the stage finals, I wanna make sure to to build the top of Europe. And if that leads me also to the stage 4 finals win, I'll take it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, maybe a good way to put it for like for any of us is, who are the big threats that you guys consider too? I don't know, Avec, thoughts on any of it?
Well, as I said before, like you see, it's changing every time. One time
Mm.
cooler won event, then he was out from the tournaments after 2 matches. So I think in the end of the day, everyone is a threat, because you don't know if somebody gonna play like really good. Same with cYpheR, he became second, right? And in the
Mhm.
beginning he was struggling, he was losing and things like this. So every player is like very very dangerous. Every player can win at some point. So it's like I think that's what I said in the beginning. You need to play perfect from the beginning until the very end, no matter who's your opponent.
Yeah,
Same with
yeah.
Yeah,
Raze. He was doing
yeah.
really really good. Last stage he ran short a bit. He played a bit worse, but it's changing all the time. And if
I'm
you do
angry at
mistake,
Razy.
you're losing.
I think Razy threw really hard versus cYpheR on Blood Run. The last 2 minutes of his gameplay didn't make any kind of sense from a sort of, if you look at the sort of fundamentally how you play it. Razy likes to push the sort of boat out a little bit and do his own thing, but I think he went a bit crazy then. But maybe another guest for another time. We can ask him about it. There was another. Yeah, this is one from Hadi1234. k1llsen, what do you think cYpheR did wrong in the stage 3 grand finals? Was it champion picks or anything else?
No, champion picks were all right, actually. I mean, the only mistake by champion pick I can see is Blood Run, but still he made it like a comfortable pick for him, so it wasn't as bad as the result in the end looked like.
Mhm.
Um, I, I mean, it's really hard to address. I think shit. I just in the beginning I had the right start, but now I forgot about it. Like, what did he do wrong? I mean, I would just say he didn't adjust enough to the way I played him. Yeah, I think that's the best
I
best
think
thing.
if we talk about Blood Run and that game, because I watched it like properly, he had the chances because k1llsen actually took few risks which didn't pay off, and he got killed. He could easily run away from cYpheR, but he actually get fragged. But then cYpheR didn't follow up. He was too aggressive. He didn't make a frag when he didn't have a bull rush and things
Mm,
like this. So it was a lot of like little mistakes with execution for
yeah.
cYpheR.
Yeah. I think adjusted. That's the right word for for the overall situation there.
Hair color, if you win Quake or the stage 4 finals, k1llsen, from Synthesis, or are you going to put a poll on your Twitter to find out what color you'll dye your hair?
No, and I'm not
It was
gonna dye my
already
hair.
blue, so
Yeah,
now he
yeah.
needs to do something different.
Nah, you do it once, and I don't think I'm gonna do it twice. But in that case, if the idea really is gonna grow in my mind, then we might do some
Can
pride,
happen.
or
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Just
Totally.
go for like really, really light, like really, really hard, like white or something like this. It will fit you.
Nah, it
It will
will
look like a
it
cyan.
will be white soon enough, man.
It will be gray soon enough.
There's a question here from Flowey71. That's to Avec. I don't know if I fully understand it, but you teased us a little streaming setting up your stream with Phase Avec in action. When? Do you understand?
Yeah, I think he's talking about the time when I was like trying out stream and I streamed for like few hours. He's
Okay.
asking if I'm gonna stream more, right? Yeah, as I
Sounds
said in
like
the
it.
beginning, I really need to get my my stuff together with PC and with my internet because it's pretty hard at the moment. Stream is eating a lot of your FPS. I don't know how k1llsen feels about it, but it's like day and night different. It's really hard to set up something for Quake. So if I buy a new PC, I'm gonna leave this one only for streaming, for example, and then I can stream some because I know people like to watch streams of every player. And if I'm gonna put camera and talk with people, I also like to interact with people. So my streams will be quite a bit different. I wouldn't go like exactly like Rapha style, for example, where he only play and he doesn't talk. Cooler like k1llsen, for example, talks a little bit and plays. And I would also like to interact with people, but then if you're interacting too much with the chat, you need to get used to it because then you end up getting wrecked in a duel.
Changes
Actually,
your
right?
focus.
If
Yeah.
you're talking with people, you cannot focus on the game. And Floy, by the way, I think he's a Polish guy, if I'm not mistaken.
He's a pretty good dueler as well. It's
Yep.
annoying because he's better than me now. So yeah, it's very upsetting. James Khan asking, what's your practice like every week, Avec? I'm guessing it sort of changes depending how close the stage finals are, but can you share some
I
insight on that?
really like to play like against medium skill players from time to time. I don't really focus on playing against high skill players. I only switch to that kind of regime like just before tournaments, like 2-3 weeks. Then I'm trying to set up some like scrims with quill skills, and we played some like days before this final stage, and it helped me a lot because I think he played like one matchup with me, which helped me win some matches. And it helped me against Tox as well. Like I was practicing like against Anarchy, against k1llsen, and I get good like knowledge about what to do against that specific matchup. So what I really want to achieve in my game is always like mechanical skills first. So playing a lot of DMs,
Hmm.
like that's why I think team modes are helping, because after you playing team modes, you fighting so much and so often, you have timings in your head, so everything is like speed up by two. So you need to think like twice faster, you need to hit twice better and things like this. So what I also really like to do is just to ask Ron, and we ask another two top players and we play some 2v2s. Before he used to stream that. Nowadays he's not streaming that much. So but we also agree with Sparty and Baxter to play some 2v2 and with Chron. So in
Nice.
next few days actually. So next few days we got some scrims, and we're gonna take care of our mechanical skills. And
That-
then when the event is coming, I need like serious games to like then it's only for your head. You need to be like calm, patient. You need to get into like a tournament rhythm. You can't fuck around, if I'm
Yeah.
gonna say this bad word.
No, that's fair enough. Question from Zerkron the Master. Who do you think has the potential outside of the top 10 to climb up in the QPL? And I saw there that he clarified that that's the people from 11th to 20th getting into the top 10. So anyone, Dramas Talks, Avec, yourself, nosfa, Dewey, Sparty, Genix, CNZ, Zeniku, Effortless. Any of, who is progressing the fastest?
Well, with this kind of points, you can't already do anything, right? You need to wait for the other season, and then they fixing the points, because the really biggest issue with this is that Europe is separated to NA, and you have some easier matchups and harder matchups. So this is
Hmm.
kind of tricky situation with points. That
Fair enough.
the same way why k1llsen won't ever catch up on Rapha, even if he won two final stages. He will just not do it because the difference is too high, because like Rapha is playing in American region.
Um, I got another one from James Carr here. 3 players in Quake Pro League who you're all closest to. Now, I understand that because all the players have known each other for ages, it could easily be a case of you pick 3, but actually you're close to so many of them. I guess, who do you guys feel you're closest to in all of Quake Pro League?
Closest to, I mean, different ways of closest to. Like when it comes just down to skill wise, I think even Avek is pretty close to me when he's like feeling really, really comfortable and fully understands what's going on in game. He's always been one of the most dangerous opponents for me to play against in every single tournament we met in Quake Champions. And yeah, I mean, Rafa, of course, in that sentence. And then Razy, because of the style clutch a little bit we have going on. But when it comes down to just the style, I think the closest to me is Venture pretty much. But this comes down, I teach him a lot of things he's doing these days. So yeah, luckily I didn't teach him too much. Otherwise, he would be a little higher.
Yeah, fair point.
You meant skill wise or hanging
No,
out?
I don't know. It's fully open to interpretation. So, however
Yeah.
you want to interpret
And
it.
I agree with k1llsen. I think every single player is different. So as soon as you play like cYpheR, you basically know what he's capable of and how he gonna play. Razy gonna play totally different. So you need to be ready for that. There is some style clashes, and sometimes you feel like more comfortable with one than the other. But every single player is strong, but he's doing like different kind of stuff which you need to be ready for, right? So the game, even though like k1llsen and Rapha gonna be, for example, hardest opponents, they're gonna play totally different, So maybe you have chance against one, but you're gonna lose against other one, even if they are on same level. Or like, for example, you winning the guy who's actually like player A beating player B and B player beating C, right? It's like Quake is like specific kind of game.
I've got some clarity from James. He's meant like best friend as well. So although that was very, very, very interesting to hear.
Okay,
Like
okay.
like I don't know. I would guess for Avec someone like cYpheR, but I'd prefer that you got. I mean,
Well, if
guys,
it's
you and
three
Kron,
people, if he said 3 people, right, or
yeah,
something like this.
yeah,
Uh,
but as
I,
many as you want to
yeah.
You
include.
better say my name now.
Well, that's why I wanted to start with you. That we got really good vibe with k1llsen because of this 2v2 and because of trip together, because like we could like travel and get to know each other like much better. And I really enjoyed his how he is as a human being. I really what he's inspired me in life, because I always try to like get some good things from people. I always try to gain from people something. I always see in guy something which is like driving me, like or is motivating me. From k1llsen, the thing which I admire and I want to change in myself is like his positivity. He's always positive, and I think this which what is opening up many doors for him in life. I think being positive is very good, and this is what I really admire, and I would like to have like totally same as him in my life. Another guy is cYpheR.
Oh,
Basically, I know this guy from like since I'm 14. We met as very young guys. We were same age basically. He's only 1 year older than me, so we always had this good vibe, and we rise really fast in games. So we had a lot of things in common. He's from Belarus, I'm from Poland. It's like the same mentalities. We always hang out. So he's my best friend. We also meeting like in personal life. He was visiting me at my home many times, and we were going for vacations to the sea and hanging out in real life. So another guy, like I know Cooler for a lot of time. We had good and bad relations. So we had a lot of good also. Like we had many good stories, and I also respect him as a man. I think his dedication, hard work, and how he sees the life, I think, is very mature, and how what he thinks, the way he thinks, is very interesting. I think he's thinking deep about the life, and this is what I also admire about him. Hron, I also hang out with him a lot lately since Quake Champions came out. I think he's funny guy. He's also positive, and it's good to like spend time with him. We also met many times in real life. We had some parties. We hang out. So those 4 guys, and of course, Shane as well. I'm gonna like I point
Everyone.
out 5 guys, but I'm already like knowing them for 15 years or
Well,
something like
exactly.
this. I boot camp a lot of times in SK Gaming office or a mouse sports office with Cooler and with Shane, so we know each other for much time. But those 5 guys are guys which I feel like some vibe and friendship and relationship. So
Well, it makes sense because everyone's known each other in the scene for so long, or at least a lot of a lot of the players have. k1llsen, any to add? Because actually, an interesting thing to add to this is because Avic's been so much more of a team player, like a team game player, should I say, and you've been more of a dual player. I wonder if that's got like differences to how you build relationships with players in the scene. But maybe I'm just on a stupid tangent. So yeah.
Absolutely not. I mean, the only difference I see there is like Cooler, but I think that comes more down to a language barrier. To be fair, to really being able to explain ourselves the right way to each other, and I think that's kind of created with time a gap in between Anton and me. I mean, we do respect each other. We go for or we did went for dinners together at QuakeCons and everything, hang out a bit together. But there's still like a gap between us and yeah. But I think only comes down to language. But a part of that, like Ron is super nice guy. cYpheR, Avik. Um, yeah, it's like most of the Quake players. They're only like small characteristic things that maybe create a slight gap between a friendship and a respectful way of handling each other.
yeah, as sk1llsen said about Cooler is also like language barrier. That's why many people maybe don't understand him deeply as like his personality. What, for example, I value the most about him is and his personality is like he's the kind of guy who is always honest with you. He will always tell you the truth. He's never gonna do anything behind your back, which I already had experienced many times. That he's always like upfront to you. He will tell you what's wrong. He will tell you what's good. He will tell you what think. If you're gonna ask him some subject, he will never go around it, or like he will never say things like publicly because he thinks that it's gonna be like taken by community as a good. He will always say the truth and what he really thinks. That's the biggest value
Was
in my
it
opinion about him.
was it was it k1llsen that went up to Jahar and just patted his belly and says less burgers or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very direct, we're actually taking so much time, so I'm only going to try and read out a few more questions. So I know loads of you guys have been putting tons in. James, here's a quick one. Who's got the best LG right now? It's a fun one.
Tox.
Tox, Avik, what do you think?
Always many people argue like who had the best LG, if it was like claws or if it was strengths, if it was Tox. For me, for the last 20 years, there was no one better than Tox.
Okay.
Let's be honest, he's like hitting the best. Maybe some people are more flashy or something like this, or strengths, for example. Basically he himself created like this LG thing around him, because many times in Quake Live, how strengths lost to cYpheR out LG him. It's simple as
Yeah.
Yeah,
that. cYpheR's LG was stronger than Strength's LG, but Strengths
I
was
think
using only LG. That's why people started to talk about his LG. So he basically himself created it.
and I think cYpheR is damn close to that level of talks, and sometimes even able to overcome this. And I did feel it and saw it on the stage finals.
Serious claws, all these people are just running away now. But no, it's fair enough. Tox has built up an absolute
Well, it's just
legacy
our
of it.
opinion, from
No, totally.
pros who see the game. If someone feels that he has the best LG, hands down, bro, you are the best, and don't take it like to yourself, right? But for me, Tox has the best LG because he's playing on competitive level. Actually, he's not playing like some FFAs or trying to get to the top, and then he's actually doing good numbers, because you also have some few people who just shoot LG, and as soon as he doesn't see your opponent, you stop hitting, because you want 50% LG, so you're playing only for stats. Tux doesn't do it. He's like a truck in every situation, you know.
Mm,
And
mm,
some players just like hitting LG in easy situations, you know. I saw
yeah.
many times. I'm not gonna point out names, but I see the guy like taking only easy
Please
fights on LG
point out names.
and then switching to Rocket, even though he can't hit shit. But he is like switching to Rocket because he knows that his percentage will go down because he stood to LG, right? It's
Yeah.
not the point. We're talking about pure aim and pure output damage in every single situation. Then Tox is like a monster. His
Uh,
tracking is just like unbelievable. I don't know
Mm.
if you recognize, guys. I also said that before that we would like to invite for the podcast Tox and speak only about aim for the whole time because it's like very interesting subject. I don't know if you realize, k1llsen, but Tox he tracks even with railgun because many people like they hit railgun with flicks or they try to like go with a
Line
dodge
it up.
and
Yeah.
line it up, and Tox is actually like he's like actually tracking you with
yeah.
crosshair on like a railgun. It's incredible. It's only guy in the world I see he's tracking with his railgun, and then as soon as he's reloaded he's hitting.
I think it's quite easy to explain, to be fair. Like his key bindings are set up for pure aim game.
Mm,
And but I think it also goes to a point that his setup he's playing like shooting moving on the mouse, moving forward backward on the mouse, and shooting on alt or something like
yeah.
on, yeah.
Something like that.
Like
And
control, yes, something
yeah,
like
like he has like 110% control of his mouse because he doesn't really need to move it or click it hard to make it to land a shot. So he can fully focus on just go with the tracking and everything because he has the bindings for that. But I think to a certain point it also keeps his mind buzzed about what do I have to press next. So situation X is happening. I think it's a little too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I agree totally. I think it's about the mouse and the settings because if you look at other players, some people have shooting on mouse and then even jumping on mouse, and then maybe they have some binds on scroll. So they have three multiple tasks doing on the mouse, and Tox is using it only for tracking and moving. That's the biggest advantage. And he's just
Yeah.
phenomenal aimer, and that's it, I think.
And I know that a lot of people are going to have conflicting views as to who's got the best LG and all that. But one thing to note for people listening is that this opinion comes from people who not just will play against Tox, in a competition or on broadcast, but they're playing against Tox week in, week out. They practice with and against Tox. And I hear this throughout the European community. It's always, oh my God, I got to deal with Tox again. Or, as long as we can take care of Tox, everything's going to be okay. And he's like 67 years old now, so it's amazing that he's still able to
Yeah,
to
but
do this damage output.
man, he's just not flashy player, you know. That's why
Mm,
like people are hyping other people for LG because they are more flashy because they doing some things, or I don't even know, you know, or they hitting very like big percentages. And Tox is just pure aim,
mm,
and he's not flashy. He's just pure aim. That's why pros gonna point to Tox as the best LG player than anybody else. It's like it's totally big gap. It doesn't
yeah.
matter that you're gonna go and hit 60%. It doesn't really matter if you're
Mm,
gonna hit it in some like easiest situation ever where anybody else will do that, but then another guy gonna spam LG and take harder situations, and this guy gonna like quit hitting LG and stick on the 70%, you know. So
yeah.
Tox is just this kind of guy who's like phenomenal aiming, and he's like naturally talented. And it's not only LG, you can see it by rail, by machine gun, every single gun, like his tracking is really 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 strong.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to one last question, guys, because we've actually been taking like an hour and a half, and I think we're only meant to be doing an hour. But there's a really, really interesting question from Unsettled RS, and it's to both of you. What series would you recommend to people to watch if they want to see the best of your style? Like, if you want to define yourself on the screen, and you want to recommend a series or a match for somebody to watch on YouTube or wherever, like what are you recommending for people to kind of get a better understanding of how you approach the game?
You
And it's quite a
first,
hard question.
Koshek.
It's a hard question. It's not easy.
It depends on the Quake, because I played totally different in Quake 4. I was more aggressive. I was more sure about myself. I was faster. I was like mechanically gifted. Everything, you know. Uh,
So
Any
I
kind
think
of match in Quake 4 you're gonna watch, you're basically gonna see the same of me. Then
Mhm.
my style slowly changed. I had to adapt to Quick Champions. I had to be more patient. I don't know, maybe my game against cYpheR on DreamHack 2019, it showed how patient I am, or like against Cooler even in semis, it showed how patient I am. And this is what I need in Quake Champion. I need to be patient. I can't like do like aggressive pushes without thinking. It looks good on streams, people like it, but you're not gonna win matches this way.
It was at DreamHack Winter 2018, I think it was,
Yeah,
semi-final versus Cooler.
yeah. And
So say,
we played ZTN for like 50 minutes or almost 1 hour or something like
yeah,
this.
yeah.
And I didn't want to give up. I just didn't want to give up. I just like had this desire to win this map that I didn't want to give up. So I didn't do single mistake.
Mm, mm, yeah.
That's
That's
how I
and
need to play quick champions, in my
y-
opinion.
y-
And that's it.
yeah, that's fair. And I think that God, the amount of games like from before Quake 4, there's been a ton of stuff in Quake Live where you kind of see
Like
your
for
group, which
example,
plasma.
we played against G-Boy in Bilbao on Game Gun in Spain, and I played final against G-Boy, and we played ZTN, which was also like 40 minutes, and we played outside on the stadium. So we had two guys like with umbrellas because the sun was on our screen, and they were these two pure guys. They were holding umbrellas over our screens for 40 minutes, man. They were sweating. Their arms were like barely like holding, and I'm playing and I'm watching this guy. I'm like, fuck, man, I need to win this map soon, but this guy gonna collapse or something. And we played for 50 minutes like this, and I managed to win, even though Jibo was like also like mechanically gifted. He was one of the best aimers in the world. He was hitting such crazy LG amounts that I couldn't like out aim him back then. And it was Quick 3, I think, not Quick Live.
Fair enough. Kelson, have you had a think about something that might define you as a player? Just what like a series that you think can give that impression?
I think. Whew, there are plenty actually. Like since I'm not struggling that often anymore. I mean, stage 3 finals against cYpheR. Will showcase a lot. I think the final game against Cooler will showcase a little more even. But they're also like gotta consider like more tight situations. My game against rapha at QuakeCon, for example, where he almost beat me, and 2 times he had the lead on both the maps, and I managed to get back. Doing the right things. I think that also could be very important to understand. How I play the game.
Mm-hmm. Oh, fair enough. I actually want to give one because I mentioned it earlier. If you want to see what k1llsen was like 10 years ago, then do you remember what tournament it was? The one that ZSX and Strengths casted. It was in like 2000. Was it a DreamHack? You were versus
Yeah,
cYpheR?
yeah. I think it had to be a DreamHack. For pretty sure.
Oh no, it was DreamHack Winter or Summer. I think 2010, possibly 11. And honestly,
12,
it was
12, I think maybe.
no, because I was there, and I would have been there in 12, and Strengths and ZSX weren't there.
Yeah, must have been at 11 then.
Yeah,
11, yeah.
Yeah.
There was two tournaments same time actually. I
yeah,
remember on DreamHack.
yeah,
We ran
yeah.
two
True.
tournaments at the same time,
Hmm.
day by day. I don't know if you remember that, ky1llsen.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, right. There was like the beat it. I think,
Beat it and something else. Yeah.
Was it from
and the
cYpheR?
normal DreamHack,
I
and the
don't
normal
remember.
DreamHack. Yeah.
But yeah, that there was a game there between cYpheR and k1llsen. If someone can dig it up, then share the link or something. But it's honestly, it was so like such a funny game because of the commentary, but also that everything the casters were saying, and you've got two like professional players commentating. So k1llsen's just gonna rail you, and he just railed and railed and railed, and it was unbelievable. It was really, really
Yeah.
unbelievable. Yeah, right, guys, we're getting to the end of the show, so I want to say myself like a big massive thanks to Team Endpoint for putting this on. But before we do go out, k1llsen, any last words, thoughts?
I mean, yeah. I mean, thanks for for the invite here. Having this talk. Enjoyed it a lot. So thanks to Team Endpoint here. And yeah, I mean, also thanks to all my fans outside, and big supporting me at any given time. Always have a backup, and also thanks to Avek. Dropping my name for this year, and Yeah, I mean, also avec someone I can always talk to. We have each other's phone numbers, so if I cry to sleep, then I call him and he calms me, and everything is good.
Exactly. Exactly. Same goes to Kilson. Once he was drunk on some event, he said, Avek, you understand that anytime you have problem in your life, you can come to my house and you're gonna be my guest. This is how he bought my heart. It was very, very honest from him after alcohol. And I really appreciate it, Kilson. I would also like to thank you for coming. Thank you, Endpoint and Pete, for organizing it and taking your time. I don't want to speak too much because I can speak also for years. I know Pete is running for some meeting. I hope he's not gonna be late. And
That's fine. That's fine.
if you guys enjoy like a Quake series, and if you want more guests, I think we are the only one who are doing this right now in Corona times. And if you want more guests, more interesting topics, some insights, and little funny and interesting stories, and deep, deep view about Quake, then we will try to do more of it. You already have one with cYpheR, which you can rewatch on YouTube, on Team Endpoint's YouTube channel, and we're gonna also upload this one to YouTube. So share the word, share this, and like this, and support us, and we're gonna do more. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Thanks so much, guys. Definitely, if you want any other guests or topics to talk about, then putting them in the YouTube comments is a great way to for us to take a look. But yeah, thanks from myself. Many thanks to Team Endpoint again. We'll catch you on the flip side. See you later.